Welcome to Wednesday's Word. It is Wednesday, the 15th of April, 2020. What crazy times we've been in. So during this time where we've been just a little bit more isolated from one another, not able to gather together on Sunday mornings together. Some of our life groups are still connecting, but it's still, over the internet and that kind of stuff. It's just, we're all just a little bit more isolated and separated from one another. And so in the middle of the week, I've been trying to just take a moment to share just a word of encouragement, a truth, something that hopefully will be a blessing to you as you try to get through the week and kind of get over a hump day and into the weekend as we have our words on Wednesdays known as Hump Day. So today's word's going to be out of 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy chapter 1. And while you're grabbing a Bible or maybe flipping through your phone to kind of get to the right passage, let me just remind you that one of the greatest challenges we have right now is communicating. It's communicating with you. And so that the best ways that can happen is if you just go to our website, hopechapelsterling.org, and we've really just tried to pour everything right onto the front page so it's easy for you to get to all the information and the events and the videos and those kinds of things that are going on. And at the very bottom of that page, you can sign up for our e-letter, and that will keep you in touch. We send that out a couple of times a week. One of them kind of has a column and some more general stuff. The other just has some easy links to Sunday mornings. So, we would really love to stay in touch because we care about you. So take a moment, go to our webpage, sign up for our e-letter if you haven't done that. Again, it's hopechapelsterling.org. So the passage I want to read today is from 2 Timothy chapter 1. The Apostle Paul was writing to his young protege who's still in Ephesus, serving a church. The task, the moment, the circumstances are daunting, and he has a tendency to maybe get a little overwhelmed, a little discouraged. Probably sounds a lot like our moments, right? Paul writes to him and says, picking up in the third verse, I really want to focus on verses 6 and 7, but I thought these first few verses were so appropriate to us. It says, I thank God, whom I serve with a clear conscience as my ancestors did, when I constantly remember you in my prayers day and night. No, you're praying for me, and I've been praying for you constantly, and I can feel them, and I'm hoping you can feel them. It says, remembering your tears, that would have been at their moment of separation. I long to see you that I may be filled with joy, he says. I long to see you that I may be filled with joy, and that's definitely the way that I feel. And then he says, clearly recalling your sincere faith that first lived in your grandmother Lois, then in your mother Eunice, and then I am also convinced lives in you. Therefore, he says, I remind you to keep ablaze the gift of God that is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God has not given us a spirit of fearfulness, but one of power, love, and sound judgment. So the thought I really want to pull out to you today is that, like Timothy, we're in a moment that may just be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit daunting, one that kind of is hard for us to keep our spirits up, keep our eyes focused on the prize, all that kind of good stuff. And these words of Paul to him are really a great thing. And I want to start with this idea of the gift of God. Now, scholars have a lot of debate about what that is, whether that's just a moment where Paul was a part of a setting apart of Timothy to ministry, or whether it was like the bestowal of some particular gift to ministry or something along those lines. But I think it's fair enough for us to kind of borrow it for today and fill it with the idea that this is the gift of God that's within us, which is literally just his presence, right? We know that God enters into us through our faith in Jesus Christ. We become one of his children. And with that, his Holy Spirit takes up residence within us. And he is our seal, our guarantee that we're a part and present with God now and forever, right? And so we have that gift within us, and it's also just a confirmation, if you will, of our place, our usefulness, our role, our in terms of being a part of the kingdom and being a part of God's family and having God with us. And so we have this gift, and he reminds them to keep it ablaze, right? He doesn't want it just to be, just a warm fire that's kind of crackling in the fireplace. Man, he wants a bonfire. He wants it to be ablaze, and he wants them to get it there and keep it there, keep ablaze, the gift of God that is within you through the laying on of my hands. And I think he offers some ideas about how to do that, right? He says, for God's not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound judgment. And just kind of borrowing this imagery of the bonfire, one of the ways we can put out that fire, that gift of God within us, that confidence and joy and peace and hope that comes within us through the presence of God. One of the ways that we can throw water on all of that and lessen the blaze is through fear. Because fear leads us to get our eyes off of God and get our eyes onto our circumstances or onto ourselves. And when we do that, we're throwing water on this gift that God's placed within us. He said, don't do that. That's not what God doesn't want you. He hasn't given you a spirit of fear where you're so, you have to take your eyes off of him and focus on. He doesn't want you to do that. He doesn't want you, like Peter, to take your eyes off of when he's walking on the water, right? To take his eyes off of Christ and look at the waves and begin to sink. He doesn't want you to do that. What he wants you to do is nurture this bonfire to keep it ablaze, right? And he's given three things. He says here, he's given us power, and he's given us love, and he's given us a sound judgment. Power, and again, major oversimplification, but just for Wednesday's word, means that you can do this. God has given us the competency, the capability, the resources, the power to be able to do this, to be able to nurture this gift of his presence and our relationship with him, no matter what the circumstances, right? Secondly, we have love. He says, given us the gift of love. And I see this as, we are the destination of God's love, right? He has poured out his love upon us. We're the destination, right? This is a gift that he's given to us. Now, we're supposed to turn around and be a conduit of it to other people, and I think that can multiply our joy. But this is a reminder that God is looking to lavish his love on us, for us to be the destination, the place where it comes and settles and stays with us, right? And then he gives us this idea of a sound judgment. And I think really thing is in this particular moment, we need to make sure that we define what we believe, we define who we are on God's truth, not on our circumstances, right? We need to define what we believe about God and what we believe he means to us, where we are in his kingdom, how he feels about us, he loves us, how he's doing, his goodness. We need to let that be defined by God's truth, not by our circumstances. Sound judgment leads us to do that, right? We look at his truth, what he says about us, right? And with that, so even though our emotions may go up and down a little bit, our sense of convictions, our values, our identity may never change. And he says if we do these things, we can nurture and keep flaming hot, right? We can keep ablaze this gift that God's put within us. That gift is that of his presence, and it brings peace, it brings joy, it brings hope, it brings strength, all that kind of good stuff. Things we certainly need in this moment. So, I pray today for you that you'll keep ablaze the gift of God within you by not letting fear take over, not letting your circumstances dictate, right? But embracing that spirit of power that you can do this. Love is lavished on you, and a sound judgment. Believe what God believes about you. God bless. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you on Sunday morning. And remember, if there's anything we can do for you, please make sure you reach out. Take care.